Now we're back on Biscayne Bay with the Dave and Kurt show. And as we bid farewell to Dave and Kathy, let's take a closer look at Kurt and Debbie's boat. Very classic 99 cigarette Top Gun. One of the last flat-bottom Top Guns that were ever built. This one was unique because it was built with a cover girl cabin. Kurt tells us that saved about 1,000 pounds and makes for a really great running boat. Now, he's owned this boat for a long, long time. I think back since about 2000. Originally, it was purchased by Parnell Olson, who was, like, I think at the time, the leader of the pack, and a whole group of guys from Michigan who have since become great members with the club. Let's say hi to Scott Witt now, who came all the way from Virginia with his 38-foot Formula Fast Tech powered by Mercury Racing 525s. Proof once again that Formula built a pile of boats, because we keep seeing new ones appearing over and over again, and anybody that owns a Formula like this 382 Fast Tech can agree that it's a very well-built boat. It's got a lot of creature comforts, nice paint, and it seems like there's no two that are identical. Every time we see one, it's a different looking boat. They've got that patented Fast Tech bottom, so it's a good running boat with 5 1/4, and it's a very luxurious boat too. So nice to see these Formulas hanging in there. Scott, thanks for joining us on your first Key West poker run and coming all the way from Virginia to share the ride with so many other people from all over the United States. Now it's time to catch up with Jim Mark from Pennsylvania in this 2008 Black Thunder XT 460. This would make it the mothership of the Black Thunder fleet. They originally built boats in the 30s, and 43-foot was a popular, but this 460 became a very popular boat as far back as the year 1999, 2000, somewhere in there, and they have built a ton of these boats out of Hannibal, Missouri. Good to see you guys back and looking great. Another first-time team, so let's make a special welcome to Steve and Lisa Cottle, all the way from Arizona in a 35-foot Formula called Team No Reason. They traveled 2,500 miles from point to point to be here for this event, so you got to shout out to them for that dedication. Nice to have you guys, and we hope to get you back next year. Another big Black Thunder all the way from Missouri. Say hi to Donna Woods in Priorities 3. Love the graphics on this big XT460. It's one of 3 Black Thunders that are entered, so nice to see the Black Thunder clan coming back and enjoying Key West. Catching up again with Team War Party, which is the pace boat for the sport boat class, which we ultimately became the chase boat for the sport boat class. And if you look closely, you'll see one of those Verados, those 300 Verados tipped up. We had a lower gearbox problem, but with some fast thinking, Bubba told all of us big boys to get up on the bow. He got the boat on plane and nailed it down to about 40 miles per hour, and we had a beautiful ride all the way to Key Largo. So another point that says for the triple outboard or the outboard class boats, you might break one, but you still got 2, and that means you're going to finish the poker run with no problems. Let's say hi to David TV all the way from Maryland, one of our sponsor teams, Team Spec Ops, a.k.a. Superior Communications, who has provided us now every year with great prizes, including Garmin chart plotters and ICOM radios and electronics, and now the new Garmin Nuvi cameras, which everyone seems to like. So he's got a big crew, as he always does, usually has about 15 or 20 on board. And once again, they pull all the stops to make sure that they have a fantastic week in Key West. Now arriving here at the Jewfish Creek Channel as they're approaching Gilbert's for the lunch stop. Not trying to set any speed records, just enjoying the day on the water. Now we're closing in again on Rusty Rom, our sponsor from Wake Effects. They're the new dealer for MTI on Lake of the Ozarks. And Rusty is returning to the club after a short absence. He really missed the camaraderie. He missed the club. But now he's got a fun boat to play in. This MTI has a removable canopy for the nicer warm days. Of course, we take time to always introduce our Florida Fish and Wildlife teams. With Miami-Dade Fire Rescue paramedics on board. We put these teams together to support you guys and have the best and most professional first responders on the course in the event that we have any kind of accident. Thanks, guys. So it looks like our photo and video crew are kind of hanging out here at this arrival point near Gilbert's Jewfish Creek, really. That's John Woodruff's helicopter winship in the background, and of course with the 2 cameras flying, and we're just getting these boats as they arrive. This is Plan B, Derek Wacob's Big Cigarette 42 Huntress. This is the boat that they have to take all of those passengers that they couldn't jam into the cockpit of the 52-foot MTI. And here's a nice wide shot. I believe that's Mark and Eileen's 52 Nortech down below. But you can see just how nice the conditions are holding out here as the boats arrive in Jewfish Creek. Here's Hal and Missy Johnson, who came all the way from Michigan. They've got themselves a 39-foot Nortech center console, and back at home in Michigan, a 38-foot Cigarette Top Gun. So they think they've pretty much got it covered. They've got the Nortech all winter here in Florida, and they've got the Cigarette all summer back to do the Boyne Thunder poker run in the summer months in Michigan. What a great combination. Going to be slowing things down just a little bit here as we arrive at Jewfish Creek. Let's talk about the safety aspect of the poker run. We like to slow things down when we get into the mangrove waterways. Why? Because, you know, really there's a lot of people that are using these waterways just chilling out, usually fishing, small kayaks, small flats boats, enjoying the beautiful day here in the Keys. So for us to come thundering into these mangrove waterways at high rates of speed is very unsafe, and we like to slow things down and just get the boats ready to tie up at Gilbert's anyway. Time to enjoy the ride, get yourself a bottle of water, refresh a little, hydrate a little, put on that sunscreen, get out the lines and the fenders, and get ready to raft up at Gilbert's. And here we are, Gilberts Resort in Key Largo, another landmark stopover that we've been visiting for more than 2 decades. We've seen the property change ownership many times, but we're very happy to report that the current owners are very poker run friendly. They love the club, they love you guys, and they do everything they can to roll out the red carpet and give us everything we need to facilitate a great poker run stopover. Across the way on the other side of the canal, Reinhardt Shop and his staff, they're the former owners of Gilbert's. They own this big piece of property, and they've given us landing privileges here for our helicopters on all the poker runs. So it's a 1-2 punch between these 2 groups. They really take care of us and make this a great transition as we stop over, get the boats rafted up. We fuel the boats who need fuel, and of course there's a huge buffet being served underneath that giant tiki. And this is I think this is the location that pretty much says, hey, we're here in the Florida Keys. We feel like we've arrived in the Keys, and this is where everyone sort of gets that vibe that, hey, now they're on the Key West poker run. A lot more going on behind the scenes, but all of the rooms being redone here completely at Gilbert's. So the new owners are really making this a first-class property over the next several months. As you can see now, using these drones, it gives us a better idea to see how many boats we can raft up here, usually about 60 or 70 if we pack them in tight enough. Everyone is enjoying the ambiance and the service here at Gilbert's, while some others are kind of checking the boats out and getting things situated for the next ride. Of course, from Gilbert's to Key West is about 110 miles, so it's good to make sure that the boats are fueled and ready, but we still have one more checkpoint along the way that we can top up on fuel. Of course, the big event here is all the pretty ladies, because they've got their new bikinis out and they're ready to take some pictures for the club magazine, and we like them for that. Of course, we try to keep things on schedule with our lunch stopovers at Gilbert's, because remember, we still have about 110 miles to go, and a lot of these big thirsty machines are going to need to make one more stop at Faro Blanco for fuel. So it was nice to have the drone flying and get the takeoff here, because we got a lot of closer shots that we couldn't normally get with a helicopter as the boats were heading off through the upper Keys. Remember, the next 10 or 15 miles are going to be fairly critical navigation. We've got a lot of winding waterways, a lot of mangrove canals, and a lot of critical areas where there's some super shallow water. And if you miss a marker, you could hit bottom. And we don't want that to happen. So that's why we try to get everybody to pay close attention to navigation. If you're not sure where you're going, we don't want you to try to be a front runner. You need to tuck your boat in behind somebody who does know where they're going. And that's why a buddy system always works well too. but we're just pacing them out here as we're getting ready for the start. Of course, we're going to try to let the front runners take off and go ahead, but we still want to pay attention to careful navigation through these upper keys.
Even when you're gone, somehow you come along just like a flower poking through the sidewalk crack. And just like that, you steal away the rain. And just like that, you make me smile like the sun, fall out of bed, sing like a bird, dizzy in my head, spin like a record, crazy on a Sunday night. You make me dance like a fool, forget how to breathe, shine like gold, buzz like a bee. Just the thought of you can drive me wild. Oh, you make me smile. Don't know how I live without you, 'cause every time that I get around you, I see the best of me inside your eyes.
Another shout out to Kelly and Anna Crace all the way from Arizona. I wish you could all read their bio because it had so many cool points in it. The fact that they arrived here after a 2,500 mile trip and had an ignition box go out first thing, but they were able to fix that and keep rolling. And the fact that the truck that they used, their 2007 GMC Duramax, had 480,000 miles on it, and somehow they got to and from without any problems whatsoever. What a great story. Okay, let's welcome another team from Virginia. This is Dwayne Fulcher in his 42-foot fountain called Feeling Froggy. Well, I guess we know where the froggy comes from with that green. And I must say, it's a good choice of green for this 2002 Fountain Lightning. It's a 42 model with a pair of 572-inch 1,000 horsepower custom-built motors. Dwayne does all his own work, and I know he had a problem with one of them, but he was able to fix it up at the dock in Marathon and keep her going. And here you can see why it's a good choice of green with the light shining down. It's just a brilliant color, and the boat looks great. Let's welcome Michael Craig, another first-timer for the Key West Poker Run. He says it was a killer time that he had in his 38-foot cigarette Top Gun. Favorite thing about boating is busting through the waves at 80. But we're not going 80 here. In fact, Michael's chilling for the ride. He said, Stu, I want you to drive because I want to enjoy this ride from Key Largo down. So I jumped on board, and we had an absolute blast. This 5 1/4 powered 38 Top Gun is a perfect poker run boat. It's a twin-step hull design. It'll go all day long at about 65 miles an hour. I think that's all we really did all day long. And then along come the party crashers, those big boys and their big toys, and the helicopter chasing Rusty Rom alongside. Made for kind of an exciting ride here on these backwaters. I pushed the throttles forward just a little bit, but there was no way I was going to catch up to these guys as the helicopter cruised by. Well, I guess the helicopter felt it was time for a little bit of love. I reached down and clicked over, and I talked on the microphone to them and said, hey guys, give us a little love too. One more time here with this Wake Effects 52-foot MTI. You gotta love this big machine with the hardtop. Again, a removable hardtop, so it's not really a full race edition. It's a poker run edition with a hardtop, so you can get out of the elements if you have to. Boat's capable of some big speeds, but Rusty and the crew are just chilling today, having a nice ride through the Florida Keys. Now, we had the GoPro running in Michael's boat, and just take a look at this shot here as this skater blows by us at a high rate of speed. That was a boner move on the part of the driver, and I'm not going to say who it was, but you guys, you cannot pass this way. This was a ridiculous, unsafe move, and we don't want to see that kind of activity on these poker runs. Let's talk now about some of our manufacturing sponsors. Nortech had a strong presence on the run. We caught up with Terry Sobo at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. Welcome back to Boat Show TV. Stu Jones here at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show on the H dock. I call it the HI dock because it's the high performance dock. So high performance means Nortech high performance. Terry Sobo. Terry, you've been part of our family now for many years here as we cover all of these new models here at the Fort Lauderdale show. Nortech, once again, putting on a good show. You got 3 boats here. What are we looking at?
Well, Stu, we've got a nice array of our center consoles here. We've got our new 390 Sport. We also have another 390 Sport, and then a 340 Sport, all sporting Mercury high-performance racing engines.
Now, this whole Mercury racing thing, just kind of like it's an evolution with this company now. They came out with this 400R high-performance product, Mercury racing product. It's the only outboard that's in the racing division.
Well, it's a great motor. Obviously, they've had the 300 out for a number of years, and then last Miami show, they introduced the 350 and the 400. They're both fabulous motors. They're quiet, they're fuel efficient, and they really are game changers, to get these boats to run into, extremely fast speeds now. Whereas, this is the high-performance dock. Now we truly have high-performance boats back here, even though they're center console. So it's been a wonderful introduction of a product for us.
Your dealer here at South Florida Performance Boats, I believe that they own all three of these boats that are here at the show.
Yes, they do. These are all their in-stock boats available immediately, which is nice for a Nortech because typically there's a 6 to 9 month waiting list. They are ready to go, and Bob Crow at South Florida Performance Boats, our local Fort Lauderdale dealer, is doing a fabulous job for us.
Nortech builds high-performance catamarans and V-bottoms that you don't have here at the show, but that's a good segue to our sponsor, the Florida Powerboat Club, with their upcoming Key West Poker Run. Of course, Nortech is a sponsor of that event. What can we expect to see there? I know that Nortech has over 20 boats registered on our roster. Some of the big dogs that are going to be showing up.
Yeah, we're so diverse in what we do. In fact, I think we're the only company that does all of the types of boats that we have available. So you're going to see quite a few of our catamarans there. I think I saw on your list a number of the 36 Cat.
Yes.
We'll have some 50s. We'll have some turbine boats there. We'll have an array of V-bottoms, and then along with a whole fleet of the center consoles too. So it's going to be quite a diverse display of Nortechs going on.
Okay, Terry, so we've had good coverage of what's here at the show, these three boats, but I know that Nortech is always planning for the next move. What is the next move for Nortech? Any new models coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been very successful with the 39s and the 34s. In fact, we've delivered almost 200 of them since the inception of the center console in 2010. So that's been huge. But there's a trend for bigger and better. So at the Miami show, we'll be introducing our new 45-foot center console.
45.
A 45-foot version in the Superfish, being the 452.
Okay.
And then we won't be at the show with the boats, but we are in the process of finishing up a 56-foot center console. The 56 is going to be a diesel-powered, so it's going to be quite unique. It's more of a yacht chaser, still, though, based on a center console platform. So it's going to be, there's nothing out there like it, so very, very excited.
Nortech High Performance in North Fort Myers. How do they find you? The website is?
www.nord-techboats.com.
Thanks once again to Nortech and their support over 20 years with the Florida Powerboat Club and keeping on strong.
I'm wearing all my favorite brands. Give me
Now, we talked earlier about just chilling as we made our way through these Upper Keys waterways, and that's exactly what Richard Girth is doing from Canada in his Outer Limits 42 Legacy. We're now catching up with Tyler Miller from Kansas. Once again, we saw him earlier in the run in this 40-foot skater called Team Recovery. I want to guess this once upon a time might have been a Stuart Haim boat. Don't know much about the boat's history, if it was a race boat that was converted to pleasure. I know it's an older, like a 2002 hull, and it's got big power Stirling engine. So just another skater to bring up the statistics that are very strong. Skater representation here on the Key West run is well over 15 boats. Let's say hi once again to Scott Witt, all the way from Virginia, in his 2007 38 Fast Tech. I noticed his email address is Scott at Virginia Truck Center, so obviously he's a truck dealer. Good to have these trucking guys coming out having fun with the Florida Powerboat Club. A classic, a 38 Formula, good-looking boat, and nice to see more teams from Virginia. It helps to support our numbers. We've got over 31 states represented on the participant roster. Now we're rejoining Steve Gordon, who's just nursing this big skater along these protected waters here in the Upper Keys. You can tell he's holding back on the throttles because these boats are not made to go so slow. But I can assure you that once the right time comes along, those Sterlings are going to be buzzing up well over 6,000 RPM, and this boat is going to be flying. We saw this 39 Top Gun just a little earlier in the show. Here's Dave and Kathy Duzendang again. They lost their wingman, Kurt Gano, but he's probably not far away. Want to say that there's a good chance this boat was once upon a time David and Kelly York's boat from Texas. I remember one of the earlier 39s when they first came out. David and Kelly were the first owners, so I'm just wondering if that's the same boat because it sure does look familiar. Hey gang, you having fun? I bet you are. And there he is. We said he was nearby, and there he is. Kurt Gano and wife Debbie, and longtime participants here on this Key West Poker Run. Veterans, really, going back to 1997 when they were with Parnell Olson on a 35-foot cigarette cafe racer. And this 38 Top Gun then became Parnell's boat for a little while until Kurt got his hands on it. And he has maintained this boat impeccably for all of these years, and it keeps coming back year after year on this Key West run. Time for a little cat play with John Woodruff on your left in his 48-foot MTI, Jim Lee on the right in his 46-foot skater called Double Take, and it's the first run for Jim Lee in his new skater, and that's John Woodruff's helicopter in hot pursuit. Once again, you know these boats are capable of running much faster, but they're in the Upper Keys right now, and they're just taking their time so they can get some good pictures and have a good ride. There's a jet ski that's not in a very good place right now. We really ask people to pay attention and be extremely careful going through the Upper Keys because remember, these waterways do not belong to us and we have to share them with other boaters, and that guy is just in the wrong place at the wrong time. More with Jim Lee here in his new skater. He's just traded it in his Freedom US 1, which he had for, probably 15 years or so. But time for out with the old and in with the new. He traded this boat with Ron Zolak, and Ron Zolak took the Freedom US 1 in on a trade. I think he still has it for sale. But this newer version of this 46 skater is suiting Jim just fine. He seems to love the boat. Joining Chris and Lisa Irvin once again all the way from Missouri. Their brand new 48-foot MTI powered by Mercury Racing 1350s. Brand new because it's 2016, and here we are in November of 2015, so it's a maiden voyage for this new 48 Cat. They seem to be loving the boat. They attended the event last year in a blue, similar color, 42 SV MTI. Making our way now through the Upper Keys. It looks like that is Pigeon Key in the background, not certain, but so that puts us in about Key Largo Tavernier area. Again, we're staying with the same boats, and understand that the helicopters sometimes are just rolling along and then they get a pack of boats that are running at a nice speed and they're looking good, so they're going to stay with you for quite some time until they spot some more boats. But understand that this is a full-length souvenir video production. We have really no limitations. It's not for television. It's one that we can just let it roll. If we get some good content, we're going to let it roll. And one disc is going to be 2 hours, and the second disc is going to be close to another 2 hours. So you're going to see an epic video production altogether for most of these Key West signature events, because we have so much video content and we don't like to leave any of it on the cutting room floor. Another landmark at Causeway Bridge on the Overseas Highway. This is called the Channel 5 Bridge. By road, you're at mile marker 72. By waterway, you're at channel markers 97 and 98. You've just passed through the last bank and then crossed over to the ocean side here. And you could see by the conditions that all day long, from this morning until now, late in the afternoon, it's still dead calm out here on the ocean side. So there's not really any need to stay on the inside if you've got enough fuel to get to Key West. It's exactly 72 miles to Key West Harbor from this point. Now it can be very lonely out here in the ocean. The boats tend to spread out and it's often hard to find somebody, but off in the horizon, just look for a rooster tail and sooner or later you're going to catch up with somebody. And this rooster tail reveals Sean Higgins from Pennsylvania in his 38 Hustler Slingshot. I said earlier that it had Cobra power engines, but in fact I'm looking at his bio now. It's got a pair of Mercury 525s with Whipple superchargers and Arneson surface drives. Sean's been on this event many times. The boat's a 2006, but he's had many boats prior to that. He's been attending since as far back as Key West Poker Run 1999 edition. Well, good to have you back, Sean. You're a diehard veteran, and you might as well just keep it up and keep returning year after year. Now we're catching up with Derek Walkup in the Black Diamond 52-foot MTI, and if you look closely, things don't jive here because he's not going offshore. He's actually coming in from the ocean. So apparently those guys have been out running offshore and then remembered it was time to go get some race fuel. So he's actually coming back in through the Moser Channel in the middle of the 7-mile bridge and heading back just a shot to the north to come into Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon, which is where the tanker truck, the BP Racing Fuel tanker is. And of course, we've got all grades of fuel there, and I know this boat with its 1650s love the race fuel. And here we are at our final checkpoint before heading down to Key West. This is Faro Blanco Resort, a landmark resort in Marathon at about mile marker 48. It's right near the 7-mile bridge, and it's easy to find, and it's a new home for all of our events heading down to the Middle Keys. Of course, we opened up this resort a year earlier with the January Winter Poker Run, and we had returned again in January of 2016 for the same event. But as a fuel checkpoint for Key West, it is ideal because they give us enough room to bring in the big tanker and provide multiple grades of high-octane fuel for these big, high-performance engines. The staff at Faro Blanco always rolling up the red carpet. Of course, they have their own fuel dock and their own fuel pumps as well for regular fuel and diesel. So there's plenty of opportunities for everyone to get fuel and continue on their trip down 50 more miles into Key West. So as we bid farewell to our Wednesday departure teams, remember we've got a big day planned for Thursday. The helicopter video crew is going to return back to Miami to get set for the next day. Meanwhile, you guys have a great run on into Key West, and we will see you when we arrive tomorrow afternoon.